The day the company decided it no longer needed me, they brought in a new leader, seemingly out of thin air. It turned out to be Marcus, my girlfriend's ex-boyfriend. In a move that felt both petty and theatrical, he stood before all our colleagues and publicly called me out. He claimed I was earning a high salary for doing absolutely no work, that I was essentially a warm body taking up valuable space. He painted me as a low-level employee in a non-technical role, someone who just handled approval paperwork. He questioned how I could possibly justify a monthly salary of over $30,000. Then, around the new year, during a period of staffing adjustments, Marcus used his newfound authority to orchestrate my layoff. To make matters worse, my girlfriend Clara chose that moment to dump me and go right back to him. But the universe has a funny way of balancing the books. When several of the company's key projects had their approvals rejected and their startup funds sent back, a desperate Marcus came crawling back, begging me to return. By then, however, I was long gone. I had already been headhunted by a major corporation and was enjoying a well-deserved beach vacation. In the sterile meeting room, the HR manager offered me a polite, almost apologetic smile. Due to the company's current business needs and strategic realignment, she recited, this round of layoffs was unavoidable. We will, of course, do everything we can to ensure that all affected employees receive fair and proper treatment. I listened to the carefully worded layoff notice with a calm I didn't know I possessed, feeling a profound sense of peace settle over me. In truth, I knew this day was coming from the very moment I saw Marcus stride into our office and introduce himself as the new acting CEO. Marcus was Clara's ex-boyfriend from college. From what I'd heard, they were the quintessential campus power couple, the one everyone envied. But Marcus came from a wealthy family and had his sights set on studying abroad after graduation. Clara, not wanting a long-distance relationship, broke things off. Marcus, in his arrogance, seemed to think it was just a temporary tantrum. He believed her love for him was unshakable, and that she would be waiting patiently for his triumphant return. When he finally came back, the first thing he did was look for her. He found her with me. Caught completely off guard, his immediate reaction was to throw a punch. I, of course, hit him back. It was pouring rain that day, a dramatic backdrop for Clara's tearful shouts for us to stop fighting. The whole sordid affair ended at the local police station, where it was officially labeled as a mutual assault. After some mediation from the officers, we were both released. As he was leaving, wiping a smear of blood from his face, Marcus shot me a look of pure malice. "Leo, right?" he sneered. "Just you wait." I never imagined he would turn out to be the only son of the company's owner, the very man who had been funding his studies abroad. "So, what about the severance package?" I asked the HR manager. She was a veteran employee who knew me well, and she glanced nervously toward the door before lowering her voice. "Mr. Harrison wants to speak with you personally about your severance," she whispered. "But he might—" Her voice trailed off, but I understood the implication perfectly, and nodded. When Marcus first took over as acting CEO, he hadn't fired me immediately. Instead, he put on a show, even praising my work in front of other employees. For a brief time, I almost let myself believe that maybe he had matured, that perhaps he possessed some of his father's business acumen. That illusion was shattered one afternoon in the break room when I overheard him plotting with his sycophants. "No matter how capable Leo is," one of them said, "he's still under your command. Even if Mr. Harrison appreciates him, he can't possibly surpass you. You can easily find some small mistake he makes, blow it out of proportion, and then even if the old man investigates, it will look like Leo's own fault, not yours." After a moment of silence, Marcus's voice dripped with venom. "Capable? He has no capabilities. A dog could do his job for a piece of meat. Waiting for him to mess up is taking too long, and I don't have the patience for it. I want you to arrange something. Be efficient. I want him out of here quickly. Better yet, make him mess up so badly that he ends up in jail. That would be perfect. I slipped out of the break room quietly, my heart pounding, making sure no one saw me. From that day forward, I lived in a state of heightened alert. I started locking my computer every time I stepped away, even for a second. Important documents never left my side. And when I went to the restroom, I made sure my keys were securely in my pocket. I scrutinized every single word on the approval paperwork I submitted. Even a misplaced comma was enough for me to send it back to be redone. Some colleagues said I was being overly meticulous. Others thought I was just making a fuss. I didn't care. I refused to relax my guard, determined not to give Marcus and his cronies any opportunity. I even tried to speak with Mr. Harrison directly, but when it came to his son, he just laughed it off. He told me he was getting ready to retire, and that it was normal for a young man like Marcus to be hot-headed, asking me to just bear with it. That conversation made my heart sink even further. As reluctant as I was to leave the company I had helped build, I began preparing for the inevitable. And just as he'd said, Marcus was not a patient man. After several failed attempts to frame me, he was left with no grounds to fire me for cause. His only option was to use the staffing adjustments as a pretext to get rid of me. I returned to my desk and began to slowly pack my belongings into a cardboard box. The sound of approaching footsteps made me look up. It was Marcus, flanked by his usual group of followers. He wore a smug, triumphant smile, looking down at me as if I were a defeated dog. "You know," he began, his voice loud enough for the entire office to hear, "some people really have no self-awareness. Just because they've been an ordinary employee here long enough, they start to think they're the boss, getting paid 10 times the salary of others, claiming business hospitality expenses while they're out slacking off. Tell me, should a person like that be kept on?" His voice echoed in the suddenly quiet office, and I could see my colleagues pausing their work, whispering amongst themselves. The yes-men surrounding Marcus immediately chimed in. "You're absolutely right, sir. We must stand against such company pests." Another added, "You're wise and decisive. Mr. Harrison is too sentimental. For the company to grow and create a future, it needs strong leadership like yours." A third, bolder than the rest, suggested, "I think we should investigate Leo thoroughly before he leaves. See if he violated any company policies. We should scrutinize all his past reimbursements for potential embezzlement." I watched them circle Marcus like vultures, flattering him while preparing to tear me down. These were all new recruits, hired since Marcus had joined, and they had naturally aligned themselves with the new power structure. The company I worked for specialized in project investment and management, which involved a lot of dealings with government agencies on concession agreements. I joined right after college, when it was just a small startup with a handful of employees. I had witnessed its journey from that tiny office to becoming a listed corporation with over 1,000 staff members. The path hadn't been smooth. We nearly went under during the pandemic. In those dark days, most of Mr. Harrison's original team abandoned ship, but I stayed by his side. I had become the longest-serving employee in the company's history. Now, with Mr. Harrison getting on in years, he had mentioned that his son, who was finishing his studies abroad, would be returning. The official story was that he intended for his son to start from the ground up, but everyone knew that a princely heir wouldn't be climbing the corporate ladder one rung at a time. His executive office was already prepared and waiting for him. I placed the packed box on my desk, crossed my arms, and simply watched their performance. My calm demeanor clearly irritated Marcus. The smug smirk he wore, anticipating my downfall, vanished from his face. He leaned in close, his frame towering over me as I sat in my chair. "You're just a small fry living off my dad's company, and you dream of opposing me?" he hissed. "I'll make you understand your place. You're not even fit to shine my shoes." I looked straight into his eyes, not flinching, not feeling a shred of fear. "You're just going to let me go like that?" I asked calmly. "Don't come to regret it later. We haven't even finished the work handover." Marcus let out an exaggerated, mocking laugh, and his cronies dutifully followed suit. "Leo, you're thinking a little too highly of yourself, aren't you? Your job is basically just running errands. Does it even need a handover? I could hire a college student who would do it just fine." He wasn't entirely wrong. My job did involve a lot of what could be considered errands, but it wasn't a job just anyone could do well. At my busiest, I was juggling 6 major projects simultaneously, all while maintaining excellent relationships with various government departments. In other companies of our size, they would need a team of at least 5 or 6 people to manage the workload I handled alone. "It's just submitting some approval documents," he continued, tilting his head and flicking my shoulder with his finger. "There's no technical skill required, no special talent needed. Besides, newbies are easier to boss around, and they save us money. See? There are more benefits to replacing you. Why should I keep you around?" I brushed off the spot on my shoulder where he had touched me and smiled. "I've been with this company for 8 years. You're laying me off without cause. First, you need to sort out my 2N+1 severance pay." Marcus's eyes narrowed. I knew he had the money. He just didn't want to give it to me. His plan was to set me up, to see me leave the company disgraced and penniless. It was too bad for him that I had been cautious and hadn't given him the chance. "Leo, you're asking for too much," he said. "Take this month's salary and get out while I'm in a good mood. Don't be ungrateful, or I'll have security throw you out." A few of the older employees in the office looked visibly pale at his words. Even when the company had been struggling to survive, they had never treated departing staff so poorly. If this was how they treated a loyal, long-serving employee, what chance did anyone else have? "I haven't done anything wrong," I stated firmly. "If you fire me, it's unlawful termination. What part of that didn't you understand, Marcus? What good was all that expensive education abroad? Trash is still trash. Your dad's money was wasted." The insult hit its mark. "You piece of shit!" he roared, grabbing my collar with one hand and raising his other fist. Before he could swing, his followers rushed in to hold him back. Some of them were smart enough to realize that if he assaulted me in the office, there would be no way to settle this quietly. I shook off his hand and straightened my collar. "You should probably get the company's legal team to educate you, you ignorant fool. You don't want to pay? Fine. Let's go to arbitration. I've got plenty of time." One of his cronies stepped forward to play the mediator. "Leo, come on. You'll need to find another job. When they do a background check, you'll want the company to speak well of you. Can't we just meet halfway?" What a joke. Even if I walked away with nothing, I knew Marcus would never give me a good reference. "Cut the crap," I said. 2N+1, not a penny less, otherwise I'll see you in arbitration." Before leaving, thinking of his father's reputation, I offered one last piece of advice. "You should find someone quickly for a proper handover. There are 2 ongoing projects that still need environmental assessment reports and the results of a technical review. Plus, there's a loan approval with the bank that needs to be finalized." But Marcus just waved me off dismissively, telling me to leave quickly and not to bother with any handover tricks. He was so paranoid he thought I was trying to sabotage him. It was a reflection of his own small-mindedness. I shook my head, had him sign off on the official handover form to absolve me of any future blame, and walked out. He stubbornly refused to discuss the compensation he owed me, sneering with his head tilted. "You want money? Beg for it." He thought he could hold back my severance, waiting until I was desperate enough for him to humiliate. There was no way I was going to let that jerk have his way. I would use the law to get what was rightfully mine. Once all my exit paperwork was completed, I walked out of the building with my box of personal belongings. My first stop was a lawyer's office, where I explained the entire situation. After that, I went home and collapsed onto my bed. Getting project approvals was a tedious, draining process, and despite the high pay, the company had always been reluctant to hire more people to share the load. I had spent countless nights working late, often drinking until I could forget the stress, just to get those approvals through. Now, finally, I could rest. Before I drifted off, I thought about taking a trip with Clara during this unexpected break. I was in a deep sleep when someone violently yanked the blanket off me. I sat up, groggy and disoriented, to see Clara standing over me, her face contorted with rage. "Sleep! That's all you care about, Leo. How can you possibly sleep after getting fired?" I rubbed the sleep from my face, watching her lips move, trying to hold back my growing irritation. "Wasn't it because of your ex?" I started to say, but before I could finish, she cut me off. "No way. Marcus isn't like that. Even after that fight we had, he apologized to me as soon as we got back." My heart sank. "Hadn't you deleted his contact information?" I asked. Clara's eyes darted away, a flicker of guilt crossing her face before she quickly changed the subject. "It seems it's not other people's fault, but your own laziness. You thought your old bosses were easy to fool, and that's what got you in trouble." I was already grumpy from a lack of sleep. I hadn't slept more than 5 hours a night since I started working there, and was constantly on the verge of a breakdown. Hearing Clara's relentless criticism, the anger I had been suppressing finally boiled over. "Trouble? What trouble? I promise you, nothing ever went wrong under my watch. Does that kid who has caused nothing but problems since he arrived get any credit? It's thanks to my thoroughness that things ran smoothly." "Oh, please," she scoffed. "Marcus told me himself that if it weren't for my sake, just firing you would have been letting you off easy. He said they could hold you liable and sue you." I laughed, a bitter, frustrated sound. "Tell him to go ahead. If he doesn't sue me, he's a coward. Oh, and just so you know, even if he wants to chicken out, I'm not letting this slide. I've already filed for arbitration for the money they owe me." Clara's anger flared. She pushed me, her shove so forceful that it knocked everything off my nightstand. "How dare you blame others and apply for arbitration? Leo, have you no shame? You screwed up, but you still want compensation?" For a moment I froze. Then I reached down, picked up the lamp from the floor, and smashed it against the wall. The loud crash and the sight of my bloodshot eyes finally silenced her. "You trust him, but you don't trust me, right?" I said, my voice dangerously quiet. "You've never gotten over him. Why did you even chase after me? You can't even remember my birthday, but your phone passcode is your anniversary with him." "How do you know that?" she gasped, taking a step back. Then her fear turned to righteous anger. "You've been checking my phone? You're disgusting, Leo. I regret ever being with you. I want to break up." Watching her embarrassed fury, her desperate defensiveness, my own anger quickly drained away, replaced by a profound sense of pointlessness. I tiredly pointed at the door. "You're right. Let's break up. Leave and don't come back." Clara's eyes widened in disbelief. She clearly hadn't expected me to agree so readily, to not even try to stop her. After all, I had just lost my job because of her. "Fine, Leo, you want to break up? Don't you dare regret it. I see now that Marcus was right not to waste his time on you. You're such a selfish, worthless person." With that, she stormed out, slamming the door behind her. I just laid back down, pulled the blanket over my head, and tried to get some more sleep. When I woke up again, the first thing I did was go online and sell all of my company stock. A notification popped up on my phone. The 3rd anniversary gift I had ordered for Clara had finally arrived. An associate from Hermes had messaged me to let me know I could come and pick it up. Clara had insisted I buy that specific bag for her after seeing it in a magazine. Without giving it much thought, I had agreed, but it had been out of stock at the time, and even pre-ordering it meant a 3-month wait. I picked up my phone to message the sales associate about returning it when I noticed I had over 99 new messages in our old work group chat. Normally, that group was silent. Curious, I opened it and saw a long-winded lecture from Marcus. He was claiming that the layoffs were based purely on everyone's KPIs, so no one needed to worry. As long as you were hardworking and honest, the company wouldn't treat you unfairly. He said that letting go of the slackers would allow everyone else to work better, and that no one should let an irrelevant person affect their motivation. It was followed by a chorus of agreement from his usual cronies, a pathetic scene of a boss and his underlings patting each other on the back. Then I saw that Marcus had added someone new to the chat. The profile picture looked eerily familiar. I took a closer look. Sure enough, it was Clara. I then checked Clara's social media. She had deleted all of our photos and any posts that mentioned me. The only post left was one from a few hours ago. What goes around comes around. The picture was of two hands intertwined. She had broken up with me and immediately gotten back together with Marcus. That was impressively fast. Back in the work chat, Marcus announced that Clara would be the new head of the approval department. My old job. I found it utterly ridiculous. Clara had been a sales associate. If it weren't for her relationship with me, she wouldn't have even known what an approval department did. There was no way she could handle that position. I scrolled indifferently through the chat. Marcus had assigned Clara two subordinates, both recent college graduates. It wasn't that I looked down on them, but they had absolutely no experience and would need extensive, hands-on guidance. By kicking me out, Marcus had left them to figure everything out on their own. I sighed, left the group chat, and blocked it. Now I was genuinely curious to see if getting those approvals was really as simple as Marcus claimed. A week later, the first call I received was from David, my usual contact at the bank. He was practically shouting into the phone. "Leo, why are your company's loan approval materials such a complete mess? There are even errors in the decimal points. Who let an intern handle such a massive case? You better get down here. I'm holding on to these materials for now. If this gets filed, you know how much trouble it would cause." I sighed and told him the truth. "David, I got laid off. Company matters are out of my hands now." David was shocked and didn't believe me at first. "You got laid off? You have to be kidding me. Did your boss lose his mind, laying off someone like you?" "The old boss retired," I explained. "His son took over. I've caused you a lot of trouble over the years, so I apologize. If you're free sometime, I'd love to take you out for a meal to thank you for everything." I didn't say much more, but David was sharp and understood the situation immediately. Instead of responding directly, he told me earnestly, "Good riddance. I know some excellent companies whose bosses are desperate to find talented people like you. Hang tight. I'll connect you with a few. You can interview now and start after the holidays." I was about to refuse, but he hung up before I could. Half an hour later, David sent me information on 3 different companies. He messaged me that he had already put in a good word and that I could schedule an interview whenever I wanted. His generosity made me feel bad about refusing, so I picked the top company in the industry from his list and called to set up an appointment. The receptionist recognized my name and transferred my call promptly. After a brief wait, I was told that the general manager, a woman named Isabel, would see me at 9 o'clock the next morning. The next morning I put on a new suit, shaved, and styled my hair. Looking in the mirror, I saw a man who had just turned 30, with a mature vibe about him. I patted my slightly out-of-shape belly, a result of years of stress drinking and late nights. Now that I didn't have to work insane hours or go on dates, I planned to start exercising and get healthier. Feeling refreshed, I drove to the new company. Just as I parked, an unfamiliar number rang on my phone. I usually ignore unknown numbers. The ringing stopped, but then immediately started again. This time it was Clara calling. Wow, she lasted a whole week. Not bad, I answered, and her angry voice immediately filled my ear. Leo, where are you? Get to the company in 10 minutes or don't expect my forgiveness. Before I could even reply, she hung up. Is she dreaming? We're broken up. Her forgiveness means nothing to me. I put my phone on silent and walked into the building. The office was bigger and far more luxurious than my last one. The receptionist approached me immediately, and after I explained why I was there, she ushered me into a private elevator. It was clear they had been expecting me. David must have had some serious pull. Up on the top floor, I was promptly led to a meeting room where tea and snacks had been laid out. They explained that Isabel had a last-minute meeting but would be done shortly, and asked me to wait. Their considerate treatment made me feel less like I was there for an interview and more like I was a VIP inspecting the premises. Just as I finished a small pastry, the door swung open. I quickly wiped my mouth and stood up. When I saw who walked in, I almost lost my composure. It was Isabel. Her beautiful wavy hair bounced as she walked swiftly toward me, her cheeks slightly flushed, and her chest rising and falling from her brisk pace. "Long time no see," she said with a smile. I awkwardly scratched my nose, struggling to peel my eyes away from her and force a smile to cover my embarrassment. "I didn't expect to see the class beauty here," I managed to say. "It's been 2 years since the reunion, right? You're looking even better now." I immediately wanted to smack myself for saying that. Isabel laughed, a warm, genuine sound. "So," she teased, "do you regret turning me down back then?" My toes curled inside my shoes. I hadn't expected her to be so direct. 2 years ago, at our class reunion, a blushing Isabel had confessed to everyone that she'd had a crush on me since high school. She had then asked if I wanted to be her boyfriend. At the time, I had been dating Clara for a year, and I had never imagined that a beauty like Isabel would be interested in me. When I politely turned her down, Isabel had smiled and said it was okay, but I could see the disappointment in her eyes. Looking at her now, I had to admit, I did regret it. But just because something better comes along, you don't just dump your girlfriend of a year. I had genuinely liked Clara back then. Seeing my discomfort, Isabel gracefully changed the subject and handed me a job offer. Her fingers were slender and elegant, like a finely carved piece of jade. I focused my attention on the contract. There was no probation period, no pre-employment training, and the first month even came with a signing bonus. The salary was 3 times what I used to make. It seemed too good to be true. It was obvious favoritism, and I knew it might cause gossip. I'm a tough guy, so I wasn't too worried for myself, but I knew it wouldn't look good for her. "When did you become so hesitant?" she asked, interrupting my thoughts. "I don't offer this to just anyone. David recommended you. Plus, everyone in the industry knows what you're capable of." She paused, then added casually, "Oh, by the way, I heard you broke up." I was stunned. "What? I just ended it. How did that news spread so fast?" As I stared at her, she grabbed her phone, found Clara's contact, and deleted it right in front of me. "Just added her by accident a while ago," she said. "Didn't realize she was your ex. Sign here." She tilted her head playfully, revealing her milky white neck. I stared for a moment too long before she leaned over, pointing at the signature line and handing me a pen. She was so close that a faint, pleasant scent tickled my nose. In a daze, I signed the contract. Even as I was opening my car door a few minutes later, I still hadn't fully snapped out of it. Leaning back in my seat, I scratched my head. Isabel had mentioned getting dinner tonight, but I couldn't remember anything she'd said after that. I grabbed my phone to ask her what time she got off work and saw that I had a bunch of missed calls and a string of 1-minute voicemails from Clara. Just as I was about to block her number, a call came in from my old company's office line. When I picked up, the other end was chaotic. They probably hadn't expected me to answer, so they didn't realize the call had connected. You totally messed up the loan application, delayed the project, and now you want to just leave? No way. Either you get the loan done or you pay for the company's losses. It was Clara's sharp voice, but another person was protesting loudly. You didn't explain anything properly. You messed up the paperwork and now you expect me to fix it. The bank won't approve the loan and you're blaming me. Get lost! Then, Marcus's angry voice cut in. Enough. Now's not the time for pointing fingers. Sort out this bank loan. If it drags on past the new year, other projects are going to fall apart. Have you reached Leo? That jerk isn't answering his phone. Once this is all over, he's in serious trouble. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. They must have had the phone on speaker because someone heard me. Clara quickly grabbed the phone and yelled, Leo, why aren't you answering my calls? Why didn't you come to the office? Do you have any idea how long I waited for you? I replied coldly. Who are you to me that I should listen to you? She was caught off guard. Perhaps my past compliance had given her the illusion that I would never leave. You dare not listen to me? Marcus took the phone, his voice tight with suppressed anger. The bank loan was rejected. You need to come back and resubmit the application at the bank. I snickered. What authority do you have to tell me what to do? My ex's current boyfriend? Leo, Marcus growled. This was your responsibility. You left without finishing your job. The problem is yours to fix. I leisurely lit a cigarette and took a couple of drags. What are you talking about? We completed the handover. You even signed off on it. Are you denying it? Do you want me to send you a photo? With Marcus cursing in the background, I hung up. I went home, showered, and then headed to the Hermes store to pick up the bag. The whole purchase, including the required one-to-one spending, cost me nearly $40,000, not counting the price of the bag itself. Honestly, Clara didn't deserve it, but I could picture how stunning it would look on Isabel. I might be losing my mind, I thought, laughing to myself. I threw the bag in my car and headed to the restaurant for dinner. As I was crossing the lobby with the bag, I was stopped. Clara was there, arm in arm with Marcus, looking insufferably smug. I told you he'd come running, she said to him, then turned to me. The salesgirl called me and said you picked up the Hermes. She glanced at the bag I was carrying and huffed. An apology gift? Is that what this is? Now you want to make up? This bag isn't going to cut it. Marcus smirked and gave a thumbs down. Embarrassing. I was speechless and tried to walk away, but they wouldn't let it go. Stop pretending, Clara said. Apologize to us and go fix the mess at the company. If you work hard this time, maybe we'll let you come back. Marcus is no pushover. Knowing Clara's true colors now, I seriously questioned my past taste in women. Marcus even tried to snatch the bag from my hand. So, it's the new Hermes. You're seriously trying hard, huh? Clara must be something special. I haven't even given her a decent gift yet. This will do. Did you take out a loan to buy this? Seeing how broke you look, how many credit cards did you have to max out? I swatted his hand away and said coldly, Don't be a jerk. This bag is a gift, and it's not for Clara. Try touching me again, and I'm calling the cops. A gift for who? Clara demanded, clutching her stomach in an exaggerated laugh. Don't tell me you found a new girlfriend right after we broke up. She then mimicked my tone. Come on, just say, Clara, please forgive me. Then get on your knees and apologize to me, and I'll forgive you. You're talking about giving gifts? I know all about the women in your phone. Who are you giving it to? Just then, a warm voice called out, Leo, why are you still out here? Come inside quickly. It was Isabel. She looked stunning in a professional yet chic outfit that highlighted her perfect figure. Her beautiful wavy hair was tucked behind her ears, revealing a shimmering blue diamond earring. I smiled as I walked over to her and handed her the bag. Sorry to keep you waiting. Just a little gift. I hope you like it. Isabel's eyes sparkled as she affectionately took my arm. glancing meaningfully at the twisted, shocked faces of Clara and Marcus. "Who are these two?" she asked. "I have no idea," I replied. "They just popped up out of nowhere and are blocking my way, baring their teeth at me." Later, I got another call from Clara. She sounded tired and agitated, her voice hoarse. She pleaded, "Leo, for the sake of our 3 years together, will you please just help me out?" From her words, I gathered that the immense workload, combined with her and Marcus's chaotic management style, had caused the two student workers to quit. They had hired more newcomers, but things only got worse due to mismanaged assignments. A furious Marcus had fired them all, blaming HR for not hiring competent people. Now Clara was left to handle everything alone. To make matters worse, the bank loan still hadn't come through, and another project that was almost a certain approval had faltered because of Clara's arrogance, which led to them being forced to redo all the paperwork. It was a common industry tactic to squeeze someone like that, but resolving it wasn't particularly difficult. However, I wasn't going to waste a single breath helping her. "Have Marcus pay me the severance he owes me first," I said. "Otherwise, there's no deal." "Wait, Leo, it's not that Marcus won't pay." Clara's voice got quieter. "But you know the loan hasn't been approved yet, and many projects need funding." "Funding? I saw on your social media yesterday that Marcus just bought you a 5-carat diamond ring, didn't he?" Clara loved to show off anything she got. "He has money for a ring, but not for my severance." "Are you going to help or not?" she snapped. "I'm just doing you a favor, really. Marcus has brought Mr. Harrison back on board, so you might still have a shot at a position if you return now. And that woman you were with, she seems a bit too flashy. She's just an actress, right? Is admitting you still care about me that hard? You even found someone to fake being your girlfriend." This woman's nerve was something else. "Who would hang on to a 2-timing cheater?" I said. "And you don't need to bother asking about me and her." That casual line seemed to set her off. "Don't ask? You two must have known each other for ages. You were cheating on me while we were dating, right? That sneaky fox is your longtime love interest, isn't she? You scoundrel, you shameless jerk! I'll make you pay, just you wait." Her idea of making me pay ended up being a post on the company's internal website. She accused me of embezzling money, being incompetent, negligent, and having a loose moral character, claiming I frequented hotels with many different women. She even posted a blurry photo from our dinner, which included Isabel, that she must have taken secretly. My side profile was instantly recognizable to anyone who knew me. Plenty of people jumped in to bash me. "I'm an employee here. Leo's just like that. All excuses about business trips, always late and leaving early. I've seen him disrespect leaders and bully newcomers. Why stop at firing him? You should call the police. Who knows when he'll leak company secrets?" I skimmed through the comments. A few people supported me, but their voices were drowned out in the sea of criticism. All right then. I contacted my lawyer and added a slander suit to my case. To celebrate my new job, Isabel arranged a welcome party for me at a Malaysian beach resort. It was only when I arrived that I realized the party was just for the two of us. It's a welcome party that's going to stick with me forever. Seeing Isabel's curves in a swimsuit, I couldn't help but swallow awkwardly. As a result, the party moved to various settings: the sofa, the balcony, the bathroom, under the bed. While we were lounging on the beach, soaking up the sun, my phone rang. I paused. It was the exclusive ringtone I had set for my old boss, Mr. Harrison. I picked it up, and a familiar voice came through the line. "Leo, when are you coming back?" I sighed internally. Although Marcus was a jerk, his dad had always been decent to me. "Mr. Harrison, I've already resigned." There was a 2-second pause on the other end. "You're overreacting, aren't you? It's just a little tantrum, really. Come back. I'll double your salary. How's that? It's not about the money, Mr. Harrison. You must have heard about the issues I've had with Marcus. I'll fire Clara, he offered. You drop the lawsuit. I couldn't hold back anymore. Firing Clara doesn't solve the problem. Can you fire your son? No way. She wouldn't have spread those rumors without his approval, right? Just have him pay my severance, and let's leave things on good terms. It's natural for you to side with your own. I get it, but I underestimated the entire situation. With the party over and the new year behind us, the arbitration finally started. To my surprise, Marcus brought his dad along. Mr. Harrison's hair had turned grayer, and I could tell from the look in his eyes that Marcus had fed him plenty of lies about me. They offered a compensation of N+1, plus a month's salary for handover work at double pay. It seemed they had finally realized that without me, the project approvals weren't going through. Projects that had stalled before the break were still pending, which meant that post-break projects couldn't start. Time and wages for workers were on hold, and some had already started coming to the office demanding answers. If this continued, the company might actually collapse. Naturally, I refused their offer. My lawyer presented our demand, 2N+1, which totaled 17 months of compensation, plus damages for defamation and payment for my unused vacation days. Mr. Harrison dodged the compensation talk and pulled out a belt I had bought him as a gift years ago, accusing me of bribery. His murky eyes flashed briefly with guilt, but he confidently told the arbitrator, I never used his gift. I kept it as evidence. I always suspected his intentions weren't pure. What a joke. Not so pure intentions? I didn't have even a shred of feeling left for the old boss who had once done me a favor. The company's lawyer clearly hadn't expected to be backstabbed by his own boss. He turned bright red and tried to fight back, but a smug look from Marcus made him retreat. My lawyer simply smiled and asked, Did you promote him or give him a raise because of that belt? How much did the company lose because of that belt? Since we were tearing down all pretenses, I didn't hold back either. I've worked like a dog for this company for 8 years. If you cared enough to check what other companies in our industry are doing, you'd see how much value I've brought in. Sure, you handed the company over to your son. That's your business. But he fired me over a personal grudge, and now he's facing the consequences. He doesn't know a thing about the business and thinks he's all that just because he has a shiny title. A boss like that? You could give a dog a bone and it would work too. I threw Marcus's own words back in his face. He glared at me, slammed the table, and pointed at me, swearing. After all his sophisticated bird talk, he still ended up cursing in his native tongue when he got angry. The mediator, seeing that we weren't getting anywhere, suggested we proceed to legal proceedings. Just after both sides had submitted our evidence, Mr. Harrison wanted to renegotiate. He quickly wired me the full 2N+1 compensation. Before I could even figure out why the sudden change of heart, the former HR manager called and explained everything. Due to the lack of staff, the company was hiring again. Marcus had his eye on some of the new college girls who were both attractive and qualified. One of them, in particular, was actively aiming for Marcus, the rich heir. She was young and pretty, like the rising sun, and completely outshone Clara, who was nearing 30. Marcus flirted with the new girl, which was fine, but then he made the mistake of putting her under Clara's supervision. After years of working in sales, Clara knew exactly what was happening, and the two of them clashed constantly. Clara wasn't playing around. During a client meeting with Marcus, she took the new girl to a banquet. Clara got the girl drunk and essentially served her up to a client as a bonus. When the young girl woke up the next morning, she raised hell, suing both Clara and Marcus. This wasn't a regular workplace dispute anymore. Marcus could actually end up in jail. So Mr. Harrison could no longer worry about my case and had to pay me off to focus on the bigger problem. The former HR manager then tried to sweet-talk me into finding her a job if she quit. Since she was a capable worker, I didn't mind helping her out. I heard that Mr. Harrison had to pay a fortune to keep Marcus out of prison, but their troubles kept piling on. The bank rejected their loan application again, this time citing invalid financial data. The settlement Mr. Harrison had made for Marcus came from company accounts, and the transaction was exposed. Once the news hit, the company's stock plummeted and trading was halted. A few days later, Mr. Harrison and Marcus came looking for me at my new company. I was in Isabel's office, discussing our upcoming team-building plans. Mr. Harrison pushed Marcus, forcing him to kneel in front of me. I quickly stood up to avoid it. Having him kneel to me felt like incredibly bad luck. Mr. Harrison softened his tone. "Leo, my apologies. I'll kick him out of the company now. Will you come back?" Isabel snorted from her desk. "Coming to poach from my territory right in front of me, Mr. Harrison? That's a bit much." Mr. Harrison ignored her, staring straight at me. "You've been with the company for 8 years. Can you really just stand by and watch it go bankrupt? We gave you your compensation. There are still many employees there, and they could lose everything because of you." I waved him off, cutting him short. "No, don't give me praise and then try to blame me. The company's downfall is a management problem, not mine. The company is going under because it was poorly run, and you guys forced out all the competent people because you couldn't do your jobs right. Did you ever think of this day when you kicked me out like a piece of trash? If I hadn't gone through arbitration, you wouldn't have even bothered with my compensation. You have no shame, yet you dare to call me heartless." Marcus scrambled to his feet, shouting at me. "See, Dad? I knew it! Apologizing wouldn't work. This jerk just wants to see us fail." Charles was quiet for a moment, then looked up and asked me to help out, saying we still had some sort of bond. "You're so heartless," he continued. "Even if you're doing well now, you can't guarantee you won't be taken advantage of later. It's good to leave room for future interactions." He gave Isabel a pointed look, which angered her enough to call security. "You know, women can be a bit petty. My departure was a major loss for their company, but Isabel poaching their 2 biggest clients was the final blow that hit Marcus and his father really hard. The already shaky company completely shut down. I later heard that some of the minor shareholders had teamed up to accuse Marcus and his dad of misconduct and were planning to take them to court. Marcus actually had the nerve to call me. The once high and mighty princeling was now groveling, his voice full of regret. "I already kicked Clara out," he said, blaming everything on that tramp for ruining our brotherhood. "Brotherhood? I almost thought I was hearing things. So, we're brothers now, huh?" "Props to you for charming Isabel," he went on. "Talk to her for me. We can work everything out." He pretended not to hear my sarcasm and kept babbling, painting a picture of grand opportunities, offering me 10% of the company's stocks and a position equal to his. I was listening intently when a soft, smooth arm reached over and took the phone from my hand. Isabel's face was flushed with annoyance. She gave me a glare, quickly ended the call, and turned her attention back to me. The company declared bankruptcy before the end of the year. Daniel and his father were jailed for embezzling company funds, leaving them heavily in debt. The pride Daniel had when he first joined the company was a distant memory compared to their spectacular downfall. Meanwhile, I thrived in my new role, helping the new company with their approvals, smoothly transferring my old contacts, and bringing in new clientele. I unexpectedly ran into Clara at a party. She was clinging to a much older man like an octopus, shamelessly letting him grope her in public. When she saw me, dressed sharply and looking confident, she immediately detached herself from the man and made a beeline for me. I ignored her, whispering something in Isabel's ear. Isabel playfully bit her lip and shot me a flirtatious look. Seeing us together, so intimate and happy, made Clara's eyes well up with tears as she stood watching us from a distance. After the party, Clara blocked my car, begging me for forgiveness. Before she could even touch me, Isabel pushed her away with a slap. I shrugged. "Sorry, Miss Clara. My girlfriend doesn't like me fooling around." Clara glared at Isabel. "Do you know that Leo and I dated for 3 years? He was crazy about me. He's just using you to get back at me." Isabel laughed, completely unfazed. "Come on, girl. We're adults. Stop with these childish games. You mistook ordinary pebbles for pearls. Don't blame others when someone else comes along and picks them up." After that night, I blocked Clara on every platform and from my phone. Even when random numbers popped up, I never answered. The next time I heard about Clara was on the news. A recently released ex-convict had stabbed her 21 times in broad daylight. She didn't make it to the hospital, and he was arrested on the spot, pretty much sealing his fate behind bars. I continue to work hard, regardless of the fact that my wife is also my boss. It never made me slack off. My past experiences taught me to value things more. Life, after all, is meant to keep getting better.